Our MC, Makoto Yamori, was the most powerful cultivator of the Lewis continent. During the Dark Ages, he defeated the Demon King's army and saved the entire continent from destruction. But right after victory, his own comrades suddenly betrayed him. Before dying, Makoto swore that he would drag every one of those traitors into hell who had deceived him. Just when he thought everything was over, Makoto was reborn, this time in another world. Now he's a college student belonging to the once great Yamori family. But in this world, Makoto is weak and useless. His own family already threw him out of the house, calling him trash. When Makoto opens his eyes, he sees a group of people staring at him in surprise. As he tries to understand what's going on around him, someone insults him, calling him worthless garbage who fainted during a simple test. Another student cuts in, reminding everyone that Makoto was already kicked out of his family, so he doesn't even deserve to be called young master anymore. Nearby, a girl tells the school genius, Kitama, to get back to his test. She's excited because Kitama is about to break another record. Kitama confidently nods, and the two of them walk away together. The teacher then tells the rest of the students to continue with their fitness test. When everyone leaves, ignoring Makoto, a strange silence fills the air. A storm of memories begins swirling inside his mind. He realizes he's been reborn as another boy, someone who also goes by the name Makoto. But this world, Makoto has a weak body with blocked meridians. That's why, after his parents' death, his clan abandoned him. As he recalls these memories, he realizes no one in this world knows anything about cultivation. Feeling the air around him, Makoto can sense the presence of chi. In his past life, the people of Lewis continent had discovered how to absorb chi from the air. Makoto closes his eyes, focusing on the chi, but he can only sense a faint trace of it. He doesn't give up and tries to draw that energy into his body. Thanks to his knowledge from his previous life, he quickly learns how to absorb chi again. Like any true cultivator, he plans to store this energy and strengthen his body through practice. Soon, the small amount of power generated from this first stage of cultivation opens up his blocked meridians. When Makoto checks his physique, he notices he's grown a few inches taller. With renewed determination, he vows to regain his strength and return to the Lewis continent, to take revenge on those who betrayed him. But for now, his revenge will have to wait. He's only at the first stage of cultivation, and it'll take time before he becomes the strongest man again. To test the changes in his body and his new strength, Makoto decides to participate in the school's physical test. He quickly heads back to the field to inform the teachers of his decision. The students immediately start mocking him for trying to compete against Kitama. Kitama is clearly the school's favorite and has already earned a recommendation to a prestigious physical education university. Even Kitama joins in, laughing and calling Makoto trash without dignity. But Makoto ignores them all. He knows that his strength is now far beyond that of an ordinary human. One student reminds him that no one else dared to compete in this race because nobody wanted to go up against Kitama. Moments later, both Makoto and Kitama step onto the track, ready to face each other. As soon as the gun fires, Kitama takes off instantly. Makoto, on the other hand, calmly counts down and deliberately lets him go ahead. The crowd bursts out laughing, mocking Makoto once again for being a total loser. But 3 seconds later, Makoto suddenly bursts into full speed, shocking everyone. Within seconds, he dashes past Kitama like lightning. You see, when cultivators first appeared on the Lewis continent, their physical and mental abilities were far superior to normal humans. As Makoto nears the finish line, everyone is stunned when he doesn't cross it right away. Instead, he starts another countdown, waiting for Kitama to catch up. He gives Kitama an extra 3 seconds, then calmly crosses the finish line. The teacher checks the timer and announces that Makoto just set a new record, around 9 seconds. Kitama finishes the race too, but he's in complete disbelief that he lost to the school's so-called loser. Though Makoto hasn't even regained his full strength yet, he's happy with his current power. With this fresh start, he promises himself that he'll rise higher than ever and prove everyone who underestimated him wrong. Back on the Lewis continent, Makoto was once considered the most powerful being alive. In over 50 years of training, he had surpassed countless experts. By the age of 65, he had reached the 7th stage of cultivation, becoming the strongest cultivator on the continent. Now, trapped in this weak body, Makoto plans to use special medicines to accelerate his cultivation. But when he checks the prices, he realizes they're incredibly expensive, and that this body's original owner was a broke loser. Makoto thinks about crafting and selling talismans to earn money, but he doesn't even have enough cash for low-grade materials. Still, he refuses to abandon his plan for revenge. He swears he'll find a way to make money, no matter what it takes. While Makoto is still lost in thought, figuring out how to earn money, Kitama, the captain of the field club, corners him in the bathroom with his gang. Among them is Haru, the captain of the boxing club. Kitama tells Makoto that because of his little race stunt on the field, he now needs to pay his protection fee immediately. From the memories he inherited, Makoto recalls that these guys always bullied the body's original owner for money. Just last week, Kitama, Haru, and Akira had beaten him up and extorted cash in the name of protection fees. Seeing the strange expression on Makoto's face, Kitama gets nervous and tells Haru to handle it. Haru, confident in his strength, thinks he can take down a weakling like Makoto with a single punch. He throws the first hit, but everyone is shocked when Makoto easily dodges it. The old Makoto might have just taken a hit, but this new Makoto is nothing like before. After dodging Haru's attack, Makoto counters with a powerful strike, landing a solid punch that completely deforms Haru's face. Then Makoto turns toward Akira and kicks him aside like trash. Oda and Kitama stand frozen in shock, unable to believe this is the same coward they used to mock. Makoto looks at them and asks, "What happened? Are you scared now?" But instead of running, Oda and Kitama charge at him. Makoto easily grabs their wrists mid-attack and stops them cold, then crushes their wrists effortlessly. Both of them scream in pain. Makoto ignores their cries, feeling a twisted satisfaction from their suffering. Unable to bear the agony, Oda and Kitama beg him to let go. Makoto finally releases them and throws them aside like garbage. By now, Kitama is so terrified that he trembles and pleads for mercy. Makoto agrees, but just as he's about to release Haru, Haru suddenly charges toward him to attack. This time, Makoto shatters the remaining bones in Haru's face with a single punch. He warns Haru that next time, he won't be so lucky. Watching this entire scene, Kitama and the others are practically frozen in shock until the end. They're terrified after seeing what Makoto just did. Makoto orders them to return everything they took from him. Hearing this, they all look confused. When he repeats himself angrily, Kitama screams in fear and promises to return everything. He quickly pulls out a bundle of cash and respectfully hands it over to Makoto. After taking the money, Makoto leaves the bathroom, thinking that hopefully they won't tell anyone about what happened. But judging by how scared they looked, he's pretty sure they won't dare to say a word. As he walks out, Makoto decides that he'll soon leave the school. Balancing his real purpose with classes will only slow him down. He counts the money and feels relieved. It's enough to buy low-grade materials for crafting talismans. By selling those, he can start saving money for his revenge. Later, Makoto buys the materials and prepares to begin. Talismans are special items commonly used by cultivators. While making them, a cultivator channels mental energy into the material to grant it mystical powers. Even though Makoto is only a first-stage chi cultivator now, he easily refines them and crafts quite a few low-grade talismans. His plan is to sell them and then find a good place to begin medicinal cultivation. Unfortunately, even after 3 weeks, Makoto doesn't sell a single talisman. He had set up a small stall on a street corner, but people only looked at him with disgust. One morning during his walk, Makoto finds a badly injured dog lying on the road. He decides to test one of his healing talismans on it to see if it works. Just as he expected, the dog's wounds heal instantly. The dog wags its tail and barks happily at Makoto. But suddenly, it growls angrily when 2 people approach, arguing with each other. One of them is Sho, the only son of the Wada family. The other is a girl named Shizu, daughter of the Sugar family. It seems the 2 of them were searching for this same dog and were fighting about it. They had seen the dog get hit earlier in an accident. Sho didn't care if it died, but Shizu wanted to find it and take it to the hospital. After a while, their argument stops when they see the dog completely healed in Makoto's arms. Shizu rushes over in shock, wondering how the dog could look so healthy when just moments ago it was bleeding and half dead. Noticing her hospital bag, Makoto realizes they might be heading to visit someone there. He decides to take advantage of the situation and shows Shizu the talisman he used on the dog. He tries to advertise his product, but Sho snaps at him in anger, calling him a fraud. Shizu ignores Sho's nonsense and turns to Makoto, asking if the talisman could help a sick patient. In response, Makoto takes out another talisman, one meant for repair and regeneration. He assures her that it works extremely well for patients like that. Sho refuses to believe it and keeps trying to convince Shizu not to buy it, but she ignores him again. Makoto then demonstrates how to use it, explaining that you just have to place it near the patient and it'll activate on its own. He tells her that large talismans cost 40,000 yen, while small ones go for 200 yen. To everyone's surprise, Shizu offers him 1 million yen for all of them. Furious, Sho lunges at Makoto, demanding that he leave immediately. But before he can strike, Makoto grabs Sho's wrist and twists it sharply. He warns him, "Step back and stay out of this." No matter how hard Sho tries, he can't break free from Makoto's grip. After a few seconds, Makoto easily tosses him aside and calmly returns to finish the deal with Shizu. Once the deal is finalized, Makoto explains how each talisman works. He says the yellow one is for protection, while the red one releases a fireball. Before leaving, Makoto says he hopes Shizu never has to use the yellow or red talismans. Shizu smiles gratefully, thanks him, and asks for his name. As he walks away, Makoto tells her his name, and the dog happily follows him. Later, after recovering from his beating, Sho starts yelling at Shizu again, calling her a fool for falling for a scam. But Shizu still trusts Makoto's words, though deep down, she just hopes the talisman might help her mother wake up. Meanwhile, Makoto returns home, overjoyed that he sold all his talismans. With the money he earned, he can now afford a good place to live. But before that, he wants to find some herbs for cultivation. Suddenly, his attention shifts when the dog starts barking toward a nearby house. Makoto looks up and realizes the people living there are completely surrounded by spiritual energy. When he observes the garden closely, he spots something silver, the hard grass growing there. At the same time, Sho is at the hospital getting his wrist treated. As the nurse tends to his wounds, Sho mutters angrily under his breath, swearing that next time, he'll kill Makoto. In another room of the same hospital, Shizu faces her furious father. Kenji, a councilman of Konkai City, scolds her for bringing shame to the family by getting tricked by a scammer. Hearing his loud voice, even the nurses start mocking her, saying she wasted money on fake talismans. Shizu ignores them all and tells her father that she's willing to do anything to heal her mother. Hearing that, Kenji explodes in anger, calling her crazy for believing in such nonsense. His outburst only fuels Shizu's rage. She yells back, accusing him of never once visiting her mother. She blames him for being the reason her mother was taken to the hospital too late. Because of him, she fell into a coma. Kenji is left speechless, completely shocked by her words. Shizu continues, saying that once her mother dies, her father will probably move on to another woman right away. In a fit of anger, he raises his hand to slap her, but stops halfway. He turns around to leave, saying he's deeply disappointed that Shizu has become so disrespectful. Before leaving, he tells her that a nurse will be coming soon to turn off her mother's life support. Shizu protests fiercely against this decision. Holding her mother's hand tightly, she presses the talisman into her palm. Suddenly, a bright light bursts out from the talisman. Shizu is completely shocked. Her mother gently strokes her hair and softly calls her name. Kenji sees this too, just as he was about to walk out of the room. Yoko, Shizu's mother, looks at her daughter and says she's gotten so thin. Kenji immediately rushes out of the room to call a doctor. He runs out into the hallway, shouting with joy, telling everyone that his wife has regained consciousness. The shocked doctors and nurses hurry inside and begin running tests on Yoko. Afterward, the doctor announces that Yoko will be able to return to her normal life in less than 2 years. Shizu shows them the talisman and explains that it's what healed her mother. But the doctor doesn't believe her at all. Sho also arrives to witness the commotion, finding the whole thing impossible to believe. The doctor orders the nurse to call award-winning Professor Suzuki for further tests. Still doubtful, Sho starts to wonder if maybe he was completely wrong about Makoto. Ignoring everyone in the room, Shizu hugs her mother tightly, crying tears of joy. Looking at the remaining talismans, she promises herself that if she ever meets Makoto again, she'll repay his kindness no matter what. Meanwhile, Makoto has already entered the house, covered in spiritual energy. He looks around, feeling pleased with his progress. His goal remains clear: to return to the Lewis continent and destroy everyone who betrayed him. With renewed determination, Makoto vows he'll never forgive any of them. He believes his day of revenge will come soon, once he reaches the Chi refining stage 11. To achieve that stage, he'll need spirit springs and spiritual materials to become the strongest cultivator once again. That night, Makoto starts worrying about how to increase his cultivation. Looking around, he senses that the spiritual energy in this world is slowly fading away. If it disappears completely, he won't be able to cultivate it all. He wonders how he can find a place or object rich in spiritual energy to escape his current limitations. He's worried about finding a spirit spring or a spiritual material, but somehow, luck is on his side. In the garden, he discovers silver heart grass growing there. This grass itself is considered a spiritual material, far superior to normal herbs. It can be used to refine elixirs that enhance cultivation. Makoto believes that refining a pill using this grass's berries might allow him to reach the second stage of cultivation. But he's cautious. One small mistake during pill refining could destroy all his progress. Unwilling to wait for a miracle, Makoto decides to start training immediately to prepare himself. The next morning, he goes out to sell more talismans, since refining cultivation pills cost a fortune. As Makoto works quietly with his head down, he suddenly senses that a group of people is watching him from afar. He had noticed them tailing him since the third day he started selling talismans. Today, their numbers seem larger, which means they might attack him soon. Deciding to face them head-on, Makoto begins packing up his stall. But just then, a girl suddenly steps in front of him, calling his name. She says she's been worried about him since he suddenly stopped coming to school. Makoto tries to recall who she is while she keeps rambling about all his problems, calling him a poor loser in between. Digging through the memories of the body's original owner, Makoto realizes she's Machiyama, the girl who once stood up for him. She offers to lend him some money so he can return to school, but Makoto completely ignores her and walks away. She tries to stop him, calling out his name, but he doesn't respond, which makes her suspect that something terrible might have happened to him. Meanwhile, Makoto keeps walking, secretly counting the number of thugs following him. After counting around 10, he confidently turns into an alley, ready to take them all on. Seeing him change his route, the thugs rush after him, knives in hand. Moments later, they corner him in a deserted alley that leads to a dead end. Thinking they've trapped him, they relax and taunt him, saying there's no escape now. Mockingly, Makoto tells them to attack all at once, but none of them take him seriously. He asks why they've been following him for days, trying to get them to reveal who sent them. The bald man only says that Makoto made a powerful person angry. Another thug questions why the Amatani family's lady would even be interested in someone like him. Makoto feels confused for a moment, but then remembers Setsu, the young lady of the Amatani family, was once engaged to the original owner of this body. But after he was expelled from their group, she cruelly dumped him and canceled the engagement. It bothers Makoto that they'd go this far just over a broken engagement. Realizing they don't plan to answer properly, he decides to make them talk by force. Meanwhile, behind the scene, Machiyama is secretly watching everything unfold. She's terrified, wondering how Makoto got mixed up with the Yakuza. Thinking he's too weak to fight them, she decides to call the police for help. Unfortunately, one of the thugs notices her before she can make the call. They grab her as she struggles to break free. The commotion distracts the others, who turn around to see their boss dragging Machiyama effortlessly, like a helpless puppy. Makoto is shocked too. He hadn't even realized she was following him. The boss mocks Makoto, saying he must be popular with women, even after betraying Setsu. Ignoring her own safety, Machiyama yells at Makoto to run away. She shouts that these men can't harm her because she belongs to a powerful family. Her words only make the boss laugh at her stupidity. He smirks and says that if he kills her in this empty alley, no one will ever find out. Deciding to finish her off first, he pulls out a knife and slashes toward her neck. But Makoto steps in just in time and breaks the boss's wrist with a single punch. Before the man can react, Makoto grabs his face and slams him into the ground effortlessly. Everyone around stands frozen in disbelief. Even Machiyama wonders if this is really the same Makoto she knew. Seeing their fear, Makoto sternly asks again, who sent them to attack him? Across town, Officer Kai receives an urgent message over the intercom. The Scar Gang is on the move. He's told that more than 30 gang members are heading toward an alley on East Street. The officer on the scene reports that they're chasing one boy and have taken a girl hostage. Without wasting a second, Kai speeds off in his car, telling the caller to request reinforcements, but not to alert Police Chief Onaga yet. He warns the caller to wait for backup and not to rush in alone. Soon, the officer updates him again, saying reinforcements might not even be needed. Apparently, the boy being targeted has already taken down the entire gang by himself. Meanwhile, Makoto is still finishing off the boss, who can't believe this is the same weak boy from the Yamori clan. Makoto interrogates him, demanding to know if the Amatani or Yamori family sent him. When the boss hesitates, Makoto grabs his head and squeezes hard, warning him to answer within 3 seconds. In agony, the boss cries out, begging for mercy and trying to stop him. Suddenly, Officer Kai arrives on the scene and orders Makoto to stop. Makoto is surprised to see him and wonders how the police found out so quickly. He considers running, but decides there's no need to reveal his full power. He releases the boss, who sighs in relief, feeling lucky to be alive. Makoto knows he can't go against the state's power just yet. Kai also relaxes, relieved that the situation is under control, but he's still stunned that a skinny young man managed to defeat over 30 gang members alone. He introduces himself to Makoto and Machiyama, saying he's a police sergeant from the city. Makoto ignores him, while Machiyama cheerfully greets him. Kai assures them that his partner, Rokuhara, will handle everything smoothly. Hearing that, Makoto grows more alert, realizing they must have been observing him from the start. Sensing his unease, Kai tells him that Rokuhara will only ask a few questions, nothing more. But suddenly, Police Commissioner Onaga arrives at the scene. He smirks arrogantly, calls Makoto a criminal, and orders his arrest. Grinning maliciously, he waves the arrest warrant right in front of Makoto's face. Machiyama, filled with anger, Machiyama insists that those men attacked first. But Onaga stubbornly argues that he only saw Makoto attacking the men. The Scar Gang boss smirks victoriously as another officer escorts him away. Fuming with anger, Kai confronts Onaga and reminds him of who the armed gang really is. Onaga ignores him completely, belittling him for daring to go against a second-grade police chief, and even threatens to have him fired. Kai doesn't back down at all. He keeps cursing his boss until Rokuhara steps in, grabs his arm, and tells him to calm down. Kai finally stops when Makoto suddenly surrenders himself. Kai realizes then that there's a mastermind behind all of this, someone pulling the strings from the shadows. Onaga laughs smugly at Makoto's surrender, thinking he's won. But Makoto's real plan is to use this situation to uncover the hidden mastermind before it interferes with his cultivation progress. Makoto calmly asks Onaga how he knew he was a university student. Onaga freezes, realizing he accidentally revealed something he shouldn't have. Makoto calls him a servant and offers him a deal to help eliminate the real mastermind. Onaga pretends to be innocent, claiming he knows nothing about any mastermind. As he turns to leave, Makoto holds up a button. Onaga's face goes pale. He can't figure out when Makoto took it. Just then, another officer slaps handcuffs onto Onaga's wrist. Makoto warns him that next time, he won't just take a button. He'll take much more. Onaga grits his teeth and says coldly, "I'll remember that." Back in the prison, an officer quietly signals to one of the inmates, telling him that the target will be arriving soon. He points toward a dangerous-looking prisoner and orders him to finish the target once he's inside. Moments later, Makoto is brought into the same cell. Judging from the expressions on the guards' faces, he instantly realizes they're planning to kill him. But Makoto stays completely calm. Soon, his eyes meet the prisoner's, the same one who's been hired for the job, staring at him from a corner. For a brief moment, Makoto wonders if this stranger might actually be the mastermind himself. Before he can think further, the inmate slowly stands and starts ranting about justice and fate. Then, with a twisted grin, he yells out his name, Funaki, and openly admits that he's been paid to kill Makoto. Laughing maniacally, Funaki taunts him, saying, "Don't resist. just accept your defeat quietly. Makoto steps forward confidently, unfazed, and in a calm voice asks, "Who hired you?" From the moment he entered the cell, he had sensed something strange. Funaki had been humming a song called Ryazu. Without hesitation, Funaki charges at him, ready to kill. But right as he's about to strike, Makoto vanishes into thin air. In the next instant, he reappears beside Funaki and slams him into the ground with a single punch. Makoto says confidently, "Looks like you're the weak one here, Funaki." Funaki grabs Makoto's legs and hurls him upward, but it doesn't hurt Makoto in the slightest. When Makoto lands effortlessly, Funaki finally realizes he may have underestimated his opponent, but he still refuses to shut up. Ignoring his shouting, Makoto lunges forward and knocks him down again with one solid hit. Funaki is stunned by the sheer power of the punch. Before he can recover, Makoto drops from above and lands another devastating blow. Funaki tries to block it, but Makoto's kick is so strong that his defense shatters instantly. Still refusing to learn his lesson, Funaki charges again, but Makoto easily dodges and drives his fist deep into Funaki's stomach, completely destroying him. Now terrified, Funaki realizes just how huge the gap is between their strength. He crawls into a corner, trembling, wondering what just happened. Makoto doesn't plan to let him off so easily. Standing over him, his aura dark and overwhelming, he grabs Funaki's head and slams it into the ground, demanding the mastermind's name. He also asks where Funaki got the Ryatsu from. Meanwhile, back in his office, Anaga is still shaken by his encounter with Makoto. He growls angrily over the phone, shouting, "What kind of monster have you sent me?" The caller, a man named Hashimoto, assures him that Makoto is nothing but weak trash discarded by the Yamori clan. Hearing that, Anaga feels somewhat relieved, hoping Makoto will be eliminated quietly without any further mess. Hashimoto promises that he's already sent gang members from Rada to handle it, and also assures Anaga that Lord Aima will recommend him for promotion to district police chief. Anaga agrees and reminds Hashimoto not to forget that promise. Back in the prison cell, despite the brutal beating, Funaki refuses to reveal any secrets. Makoto actually respects his stubbornness. Funaki tells Makoto, "You underestimated me," which makes Makoto wonder, are there other cultivators in this world? Funaki explains that a few years ago, he met an old monk in Rada who could slice a tree in half by manipulating chi effortlessly. The monk had given him a bottle of divine water and told him to dilute it before using it. After following the monk's instructions for years, Funaki's body completely transformed. From this story, Makoto realizes that what Funaki calls divine water is actually Ryatsu, or spirit water. He wonders if a spiritual spring could also exist in Rada. Basically, spiritual springs form in places with an abundance of spiritual energy. Over time, that energy condenses into spirit water and eventually becomes a spring. On the Lewis continent, even a small amount of it is considered rare and precious among cultivators. Makoto asks Funaki, "If you're so powerful, why get involved in fights among ordinary people?" Funaki reveals that his child has ALS and that he desperately needed money for treatment. He also says he tried using the divine water on his son, but it didn't work. Needing huge amounts of money to keep his son alive, Funaki accepted the deal to kill Makoto. After thinking for a moment about the illness, Makoto offers to help heal his son. He explains that divine water is actually spirit water, also known as Ryatsu, and that it can be harmful to normal people. Ordinary spiritual energy might not heal him, but spirit water could easily destroy a weak body. He adds that spiritual energy can be used in special ways. Makoto then shows Funaki the same healing talisman he had once used on the dog, and to demonstrate its power, he uses it on Funaki himself. Funaki watches in astonishment as the talisman instantly heals all his wounds. Holding the talisman like a treasure, he can't believe what he's just seen. Makoto gives him one last warning. Either tell me your master's name, or prepare to die. Without hesitation, Funaki confesses it was a man named Hashimoto who hired him. Meanwhile, in the Kozan Club, Hashimoto ends his call with Anaga. In an almost cheerful mood, he turns toward a beaten, bound girl and asks if she wants something to eat or drink. She can't answer. She just cries and trembles in pain. Hashimoto moves closer, forces her mouth open, and yanks out one of her teeth. The girl screams in agony while he laughs like a maniac. His torture session only stops when his butler enters and informs him that Lord Ima is asking for an update on Makoto's situation. Hashimoto tells the butler that someone is already handling it and that he'll go check at the police station soon, since he's sure Makoto must already be dead. Then he instructs the butler to tell Lord Ima to relax and wait for good news. Back in the cell, Makoto and Funaki seem to have formed an unlikely bond. Out of gratitude for the healing talisman, Funaki gives Makoto a necklace containing concentrated spirit water. Makoto is thrilled. Just a small amount sprinkled on silver grass will make it bear fruit immediately. After processing these fruits into cheap pills, he will quickly be able to complete the second level of cultivation. He thanks Funaki, who warns him that Hashimoto won't let him go so easily. Funaki cautions that anyone who gets caught in Hashimoto's trap never escapes without getting hurt. Unafraid of this warning, Makoto says that he will handle Hashimoto. Meanwhile, Shizu arrives at Neha University looking for Makoto. She had seen his photo and found out that he was discarded trash from the Yamori clan. That's why she came all the way to his school to see for herself. Shizu still can't believe that Makoto is actually her junior at the university. She quickly heads toward the president's office to gather more information about him. The president of Neha University is Jin, Machiyama's uncle. Inside his office, Machiyama is arguing with President Jin. She wants him to help save Makoto, but Jin has no intention of getting involved in this matter. Machiyama refuses to back down because she blames herself for Makoto's arrest and for the involvement of corrupt cops. She keeps trying to convince him, while the university instructor Kimona attempts to stop her. Kimona assures Machiyama that Makoto will be freed soon. Just then, everyone turns around as Shizu enters the scene. She immediately asks them, "Were you talking about Makoto?" Back at the police station, Kai is shouting inside Onaga's office, accusing him of corruption. He says that for years they have been chasing Scar and his gang for no reason. Yet now Onaga is letting them go freely. Onaga tells Kai that accusing a supervisor without proof is a crime. But Kai doesn't back down. Furious, he says that the chief is planning something wrong behind the scenes. Unfortunately, he has no evidence to support his claim. As the two men glare at each other, Machiyama and Shizu storm into the office, with Rokuhara trying to stop them from behind. Machiyama angrily points at the chief and tells Shizu, "This is the man who framed Makoto with false charges." Onaga quietly stares at Shizu, wondering who she is. According to the information he received, Makoto doesn't have the backing of any powerful family. He tells Karud that Makoto is just trash. He insists that Makoto cannot be released because of charges of theft and assault. Kai protests angrily against these charges, asking when any of that even happened. Onaga replies that it is related to a secret investigation, so they won't be told anything. Machiyama angrily says that locking up Makoto while releasing the Yakuza men is straight-up corruption. Onaga is unaffected by her threats. He warns them to leave, or he will arrest them for obstructing justice. Just as he is about to make the call, Shizu calmly sits down, crosses her legs like a boss, and tells him, "Go ahead, try it." Onaga orders his subordinates to throw them into the holding cell. He says they are being arrested as suspected accomplices of Makoto. He even goes further and suspends Kai for supporting criminals. Kai shouts loudly, while Shizu remains calm. Shizu listens to the accusations being thrown at her. Onaga laughs and then thinks about adding even more charges for insulting a government official. Shizu simply asks, "Are you getting special favors from someone to arrest Makoto?" Seeing his scheme being exposed, he stammers and tries to dodge her questions. Shizu asks again, "Can Makoto's case be solved with money?" Onaga relaxes again and says that Makoto angered powerful people, which is why all this happened. He also says that Shizu and Machiyama will meet the same fate. Without any shame, Onaga makes up a fake story about how he could get rid of all of them, including Kai. He says he will blame Kai's death on the girls, and then blame the girls' deaths on two thugs whom the police conveniently eliminated. Hearing such a terrifying fabricated plan, Kai and Machiyama are clearly shaken with fear. But Shizu isn't scared at all. In their shock, Shizu asks Director Aji, who is already on the call, "Did you hear everything the corrupt chief just said?" Director Aji confirms that he heard it all. Onaga immediately starts to panic. Shizu sits back again and asks, "Do I need to repeat it?" From the other end of the line, Director Aji reads out Onaga's charges and adds that he also threatened a council member's family member. For all of this, Onaga is suspended immediately. Director Aji also says that he is coming to the office right away to meet them. After seeing everything fall apart, Onaga sinks into his chair, still shaken, wondering which council member's family he messed with. Answering his question, Shizu reveals that she is the Shung lady of Nehi City. At that moment, Onaga realizes he has made a massive mistake. Back in the jail, Makoto is still excited about the new gift for Funaki. The spirit water quantity in it is very low, so he thinks it can only be used once. He suddenly becomes alert when he senses someone approaching and turns around. He is shocked to see Shizu and Machiyama standing there. At the same time, Hashimoto finds out that all his plans have failed. Furious, he starts smashing things inside his house. Enraged that one servant is near death and the other is going to jail, he breaks a few vases. After that, he begins thinking ahead, realizing that failing the family's mission in the AIA could put his own life in danger. Deciding not to back down, Hashimoto sends his bodyguard, the one he considers best for this job. He orders him to bring Makoto back alive, swearing that he will personally finish this trash with his own hands. Makoto has now returned home, and, as usual, after buying some materials for pill refinement, he immediately refines a pill. Without wasting any time, he puts it straight into his mouth. The moment he takes it, he instantly feels its powerful effect as he begins floating in the air, surrounded by golden light. Even though the pill is impure, Makoto is satisfied with the results, especially since this place has very low spiritual energy, making this effect something special. Finally, he passes the chi refining stage 2, something he had wanted for a long time. He starts practicing his cloud shadow step, a technique he hadn't used since his rebirth. Even the dog is shocked after seeing his speed. Makoto is pleased with the outcome and says that even a bullet is nothing compared to his speed now. After that, he starts thinking about how to find the next supply of spirit water, since the one from Funaki has already been used. He considers trying his luck by going to Rada, but traveling there by the normal route is considered dangerous. So Makoto decides to rely on the secret path he learned from Funaki. But his biggest problem is money, because just to get started, he'll need around 2 million yen. Just then, a beauty product advertisement on television catches his attention. In this world where women want to look young, he decides to take advantage of this trend. He picks up a package from the table, excited to use its products at the upcoming party. Only 5 hours after being released from detention, he had shared lunch with Shizu. Sitting across from her, he still couldn't believe she was the daughter of a councilman. After a brief silence, he asked her for a favor, to attend a party at Sugo Building to celebrate her mother's recovery. This building is the biggest cosmetics market in the city, and Shizu is its owner. This is the very party Makoto is excited about. The next evening, he arrives at an amazing party on the top floor of Sugo Building, holding a box. Inside is a Jian pill, an elixir he refined himself. Although he can't create true spirit pills at his current level, making elixirs like this is extremely easy for him. The Jian pill is a cheap and popular remedy among female cultivators on the Rue continent. Makoto's plan is to sell a few of them to rich women at the party and earn 2 million yen. Looking through the crowd, he spots Shizu and her family and prepares to attract his target customers. Shizu is dealing with her aunt and uncle, Ino and Shirashisu, who are pressuring her to get married soon. Even though she's only in her 30s, they call her an old maid and warn her not to end up like the family's longtime single woman, Masami. Shiro even insults Masami, calling her a waste of space. Masami tries to defend herself but can't find the right words, which only makes Shiro more aggressive. Yoko, now annoyed, tells Shiro to stop, while Shizu reminds him that Masami raised her and many others after their grandmother passed away. But Shiro doesn't stop. He tells Yoko to convince Shizu to settle down quickly. Yoko, who has just recovered from a long coma, starts coughing, and Shizu immediately checks on her. Despite the awkward atmosphere, Shiro stays aggressive. He even suggests a family for Shizu to marry into. He warns her that if she doesn't settle down, she'll become infertile. Masami wants to give her opinion, but Shiro cuts her off and says that no cosmetic product can bring back her youth. At that moment, Makoto sees his chance and speaks up. He criticizes Shiro for insulting Shizu, who is an important face of the cosmetics industry. Furious, Shiro calls security to throw Makoto out of the venue. But Shizu tells everyone that this is the very man who saved Yoko. Yoko holds Makoto's hand, thanking him for selling Shizu the talisman. Shiro feels disgusted just looking at Makoto and calls him a scammer. He claims that Yoko woke up from her coma only because of medical science. Ignoring all the taunts, Makoto introduces himself as a researcher and Shizu's business partner. Even Shizu is surprised to hear the words business partner. The people watching are filled with dislike. They tell him that he has no place in a discussion about restoring youth. But Makoto confidently shows his box and promises to show them something impressive. He hands the box to Masami and invites her to take the Jian pill. Shiro immediately doubts it, suspecting it might be poison. Masami looks at him sadly, wondering if she can really take the pill. Shizu assures her that she can trust Makoto, and Yoko supports her as well. The crowd begins whispering that a pill that can make someone young again is impossible. To give her a push, Makoto whispers into Masami's ear, asking if she doesn't want her wasted youth back. Thinking about how she spent her entire youth on useless people, and how they've been troubling her for so long, Masami decides to take the pill. With everyone watching, she picks it up and puts it into her mouth. Everyone waits to see her become young again. But after a few seconds pass, nothing happens. Shiro laughs loudly, mocking Makoto and calling him a fraud. Suddenly, the pill's effect begins, and to everyone's shock, Masami truly becomes young again. She returns to a completely youthful look. Someone quickly brings a mirror to show the results, and Masami is stunned when she sees her new appearance. Just like that, Makoto's pill becomes the headline of the party, and all the older aunties immediately surround him, demanding one for themselves. Makoto sets the pill's price at 4,000 yen and announces that only 10 are available. The moment they hear that, a live auction starts right there. Everyone begins competing, racing to place higher bids than each other. Shiro also wants to place the highest bid for the Jian pill. He plans to secure an exclusive distribution rights deal, no matter how much money it takes. Ino tries to stop him, but Shiro yells at her to stay quiet. He thinks they can brainwash Makoto for a while and arrange Shizu's marriage into the Ocho family. Shiro is literally planning to sell her in the name of marriage just to get a huge amount from Ocho. At that moment, a fat man from the Kojin group approaches Makoto and offers 4 million yen for the exclusive distribution rights of the Jian pill. A representative from another company immediately counters with a 20 million bid. Shiro confidently steps in again and tells everyone to calm down. He requests to speak privately with Makoto and offers 30 million yen along with a profit-sharing deal. He explains that he will take 70% of the profit, while Makoto gets 30%, saying it's a great deal because the Hashisu family's influence will be useful. Hearing this, Shizu calls his family a garbage bin with no real relationships, which makes Shiro explode with anger. He reminds Shizu that he is related to her through her mother's side. Shizu reminds him that he lost that right the moment he mortgaged the company their grandmother left behind and lost over 100 million yen. Shiro tries to deny the accusation, but Shizu pulls out evidence and threatens to read it out loud in front of everyone. Masami and Yoko, who had no idea about this, are shocked to hear that he ruined their mother's company. Shiro trembles as he asks how Shizu got this evidence. Shizu explains further that Shiro only came to the party to ask Yoko for money, just like how he squeezed their grandmother dry. Seeing through all his schemes clearly, she declares that she won't give him a single yen. She has also found out that he doesn't even have 30 million yen. He was planning to rob Makoto. Completely defeated, Shiro drops to his knees and begs for help. Without any shame, he asks Yoko to help him beg Shizu. But Yoko refuses, clearly disappointed, saying that he destroyed their mother's legacy. Like a classic mama's boy, Shiro grabs Masami's skirt, begging her, saying he is the last man in the family and asking her to help him. Tired of this worthless animal, Masami pushes him away and refuses to help. In the end, Shiro stands there in front of the very women he always looked down on. Shizu gives him an ultimatum: either go to jail or sell his company to her for just 1 yen. That completely breaks him. The people nearby laugh at him, saying this is simply his fate. Then Shizu turns toward Makoto and offers to introduce him to a much better business partner. She explains that 40 million yen is a good settlement, and he should try to keep 80% of the profit for himself. She warns him that everyone at this party is a fraud, and they will try to take advantage of him. Surprisingly, Makoto leaves everything in her hands. That evening, she drops him off at his apartment and comments on what a nice place it is. Makoto tells her it's only rented. He thanks her for the ride, and Shizu assures him, saying that she is his friend. Hearing the word friend, Makoto is shocked when she repeats it again, extending her hand to make their friendship official. After talking, he quietly goes inside, still lost in thought. He looks up at the moon, thinking that maybe this new life isn't so bad after all. But the moment he enters, Makoto is horrified when he sees his dog lying in a pool of its own blood. The knife is still stuck there like a deadly warning, and the entire scene fills Makoto with rage. Just a little earlier, a shadowy man had called Hashimoto to inform him that Makoto had arrived home with a girl. To teach Makoto a lesson, they were planning to capture Shizu. Hashimoto was still speaking on the phone about the warning they had left behind. Makoto quickly rushes inside to check on his dog, and, thankfully, is still breathing. He hopes the healing talisman will work. He pulls out the knife and places the talisman on the dog. Meanwhile, a man hidden in the shadows above is watching Makoto. Suddenly, he lunges downward, ready to attack from behind. But he is completely shocked when Makoto vanishes in an instant along with his dog and reappears behind him. With one kick, Makoto slams the man to the ground. Soon, more goons arrive, wondering what just happened. Makoto gently moves his dog aside so he can face them alone. He stares at them with pure anger, and without thinking, they attack him. One man reminds the others that according to the boss's orders, Makoto must be kept alive. But when they see how easily Makoto takes one of them down, The rest freeze in fear. Ignoring Makoto's overwhelming confidence, another idiot charges at him immediately. He immediately lunges at him, only for his arm to burst apart like a sausage, yet he still refuses to let go. Makoto twists his neck as if he's tearing apart a toy. Now, the rest of the gang members are trembling in fear. They pull out big guns and plan to stop him by shooting his arms and legs. But these idiots don't realize that Makoto is faster than bullets. Without fearing their pathetic pew-pew at all, he moves around like a flash, dodging every shot. Makoto swears that he will take them down one by one, until they beg for mercy and tell him who sent them. Somewhere else, the crazy Hashimoto has captured Shizu, wanting to satisfy his filthy desires with her, even though he knows she is the famous councilman Kenji Suga's daughter. Hashimoto wants to toy with her. He confirms her identity once again, enjoying himself. Just as Shizu begins struggling, his phone starts ringing. Hashimoto picks it up, asking for an update about Makoto. He is shocked when Makoto's voice comes through the phone, telling him that all of his men have already been wiped out. Seizing the moment, Hashimoto mentions that he has Shizu, which only makes Makoto even angrier. Makoto warns him to let her go, or there will be consequences. But the madman only laughs at him. Hashimoto happily gives Makoto 40 minutes to arrive, threatening that if he doesn't, he will livestream Shizu like sushi being served. Telling him to find the location, Hashimoto hangs up. Furious, Makoto crushes the cheap phone in his hand. Hashimoto continues his disgusting acts with Shizu, planning to make a teaser video before the main event. He removes the tape from her mouth, but just as he moves forward, there's a knock at the door. When he opens it, the guards tell him that the warehouse fire alarm has gone off. Hashimoto quickly orders them to shut it off so the police don't come, and decides to go check it himself. He tells a guard to watch the door. The moment he leaves, only a few seconds later, someone punches the guard so hard that the door itself breaks. Shizu looks up, hoping Makoto has come to save her. Only an hour earlier, Funaki had come to Makoto's house to deliver an introduction letter for Rada, but Makoto wasn't answering his phone. He double-checks the address to make sure he's in the right place. At that moment, he overhears someone telling Hashimoto that Makoto had returned home with his girlfriend. From the conversation, he learns that 6 goons are waiting inside Makoto's house. He also sees unconscious Shizu being forced into a car. Funaki watches everything from a hidden corner. As soon as Shizu's car drives away, he jumps on his bike to follow it, planning to send Makoto the address. Reaching a private mansion, Funaki finally manages to contact Makoto. He tells him that Shizu has been captured and gives him the mansion's location. Makoto is stunned and asks how Funaki knows all this. Before the call, Makoto had been interrogating one of the goons, beating him to the edge of death, then healing him with a talisman so he could torture him more. Without wasting time, Makoto tells Funaki to help save Shizu. After making the request, he swears that he will personally teach Hashimoto a lesson. It was this request that forced Funaki to trigger the fire alarm earlier, so Hashimoto would leave the room. He waits for Hashimoto to go, then approaches the guards, who are busy gossiping about their filthy boss. Funaki walks toward them like a ghost, completely ignoring their questions. That's when he attacks them, and the force of his strike breaks the door. Shizu, who seems half-conscious, calls Makoto's name, thinking he has come to rescue her. But it's only Funaki, who came because of Makoto's request. Funaki lifts her like a dead weight and rushes out before Hashimoto can return. He reaches the door leading to the back garden, where a car is parked, and moves forward, hoping they can escape before anyone catches them. Just as he grabs the handle, a bullet rips through his thigh. The shock sends him crashing to the ground with Shizu still in his arms. Even in pain, Funaki protects her head from hitting the ground. A moment later, Hashimoto walks in, proudly showing off his perfect shot. His men clap along like puppets. Funaki's heart pounds as he wonders how they came back so quickly. Hiding his fear, he greets Hashimoto like an old friend. Hashimoto enjoys the situation, laughing loudly as he thinks about dealing with the traitor. Refusing to surrender without a fight, Funaki steadies himself and challenges him directly. Outside the mansion, Makoto arrives to settle the score with that madman. The guards rush toward the door, shocked that someone would dare come so directly. Makoto doesn't even bother looking at them in his rage. He calmly punches the door down like it's a cheap toy. The guards are left stunned. They all charge at him together, thinking numbers will work. Unfortunately for them, Makoto slices through them effortlessly, tossing them aside like trash. Within seconds, the entire place becomes silent. Standing among the fallen guards, Makoto announces his arrival like the true main hero. Inside the mansion, Funaki isn't doing so well. He has taken down many men, but it seems he has reached his limit. In his heart, he regrets not refusing Makoto's request. Hashimoto still thinks he's the king of the world, claiming he'll turn Funaki into sushi and send him to Makoto. Suddenly, His mood shifts when a massive hits the main door. Makoto steps inside, saying he has come to teach Hashimoto a lesson. Funaki feels like he's on cloud 9 with relief. Makoto gives him a healing talisman so he can regain strength. Hashimoto orders his men to kill Makoto immediately. Makoto stays back and fights them head-on. Funaki lifts Shizu into his arms and leaves to complete the mission. Using Cloud Shadow Step, Makoto moves easily through the rain of bullets, taking them down one by one. Hashimoto watches in terror, realizing how fast Makoto truly is. He understands that he underestimated him. He tries to sneak away like a useless coward, and finally escapes the chaos. Hashimoto runs like a rat, thinking, why did people call a dragon like Makoto weak trash? He reaches a door and tries to enter the password, but his hands tremble from fear. Suddenly, bodies of his men come flying into the room, signaling Makoto's arrival. For the first time, Hashimoto looks truly terrified. Stuttering, he tells Makoto to calm down, trying to threaten him by mentioning his master's name. But it has no effect. Hashimoto is a coward compared to his men. Just seeing Makoto, he blurts out the name Lord Ima, saying he is his boss. Makoto has no idea who this Lord Ima is, so he glares and demands answers. Hashimoto explains that Lord Ima is the heir of the Ima family. He says Ima is targeting Makoto because of a rumor that Makoto messed around with Setsu. He reveals that Lord Ima wants a political marriage with a girl from the Amatani family, so they want Makoto completely eliminated to avoid future trouble. Makoto checks his memory. He has no recollection of secretly meeting anyone's fiancée, so it feels like someone is deliberately framing him. After telling everything, Hashimoto threatens Makoto to let him go, or he will face the consequences of provoking someone as powerful as Lord Ima. Hearing this, Makoto thinks Lord Ima must also be a cultivator. Hashimoto rambles like a broken lover, promising to help if Makoto spares him. Unfortunately, Makoto never breaks his promises, so he immediately punches Hashimoto in the face so hard that the force shatters the locked door. Inside the room, he finds several girls tied up by the madman. Makoto instantly breaks their chains and drops his knife on the ground. Before leaving, he tells the girls to do whatever they want with Hashimoto. As the girls surround him, Hashimoto offers the money if they spare him. But these girls don't need money. They have already been through hell because of his filthy actions. With tears of pain and satisfaction, they send him back into the very hell he created. Meanwhile, Makoto goes outside to Funaki. He places a healing talisman on Shizu, then tells Funaki to leave before the police arrive. Makoto had already called the police before coming to the mansion. He plans to hand Shizu over safely and return home. Funaki asks what the next plan is, and Makoto says he will investigate Ima and everyone else targeting him. He pauses, thinking that if he digs deeper, he might find even more people behind this entire incident. After all of Hashimoto's drama, Makoto returns to his boring daily life, but he is still troubled by the mastermind behind it all. Doing push-ups, he vows to find the criminal soon and crush him. Soon, his training is interrupted by a knock at the door. Makoto opens it and finds Shizu's messenger. The messenger hands him an invitation, along with a message saying she will leave as soon as he is ready. Makoto stares at the invitation card in confusion, wondering what it means. After the man leaves, he calls Shizu to ask why she sent it. She explains that the invitation is from the Hashishu family. Makoto becomes even more confused, asking why he needs to attend their party. Shizu tells him that the Hashishu family controls the city's largest pharmaceutical group, so getting close to them is necessary to sell beauty pills. She also mentions that Setsu, his ex-fiancée, will be at the party too. This new information immediately sparks Makoto's interest. On the day of the party, Makoto arrives looking quite sharp. Shizu quietly guides him inside, pointing out the general manager of AC Group and the board chairman of Taro Kengo Group, saying they are major businessmen in the city. Makoto, who knows nothing about business, wonders if they are also trying to get close to the Hashisu family. Shizu finds his thought amusing, realizing that despite coming from a powerful family, he doesn't even recognize the city's famous influential people. She tells him that most people here are desperate to form connections with even a relative of the Amatani family. According to Shizu, everyone is waiting for the young lady of the Amatani family to arrive. Just then, Nana, the head of the Hashisu family, enters, along with the much-anticipated Setsu. Makoto can sense spiritual energy around his famous ex-fiancée. He secretly observes her, wondering if she is also a cultivator. Countless thoughts race through his mind. He wonders if there is some special cultivation method in this world that he hasn't discovered yet. He notices that Setsu's spiritual energy is openly visible. She isn't even trying to hide it, probably because she knows Ima. He decides he will ask her later. Then he quietly stands beside Shizu as she happily greets Nana. Nana asks about Shizu's mother's health. Shizu expresses happiness that Yoko is recovering now. She thanks Nana and says her mother is slowly returning to normal. Then she gifts Nana the Juyin pill on Yoko's behalf. Shizu explains that it is the company's new youth restoring product. Nana, who already knows about the pill, excitedly calls out its name. The nearby guests begin murmuring in shock, discussing its extremely high value. Setsu immediately looks at the box with curiosity. Nana praises it as a high-level spirit pill, complimenting the one who made it. She notices that it has no seals, so she asks Shizu who the creator is. Shizu immediately introduces Makoto as the pill refiner and her business partner. Both Nana and Setsu are stunned at Makoto's introduction. Nana happily says she used to hold him in her arms as a child. She praises his skills and curses the Yamori clan for abandoning such a talented boy. Setsu quickly stops her aunt from talking further. In a strict tone, she says such skills are useless for a noble family, only useful for cultivation level. Setsu continues, saying that if Makoto had any proper cultivation, he would have had a place in the Amatani family. Hearing all this, Makoto finally understands that the noble families in this world have discovered cultivation. Still, compared to the Rue continent, it is nothing but trash. Even after Setsu finishes her nonsense and mocks Makoto as worthless, Nana still isn't convinced. She believes Makoto has done something remarkable by creating the Juyin pills. Then she asks him which master taught him pill refinement. Makoto thinks for a moment, his mind drifting to someone from his past life. With no other option, he answers that there was no master. Makoto explains that he only started pill refinement as a hobby, just as he's about to ask something important. But before he can, a guy walks in, strutting around like a peacock, clearly looking for attention. He wishes Nana a happy birthday. All the guests stare at him strangely. Someone whispers that this man is Lord Ima, the heir of the Ima family. Makoto feels a chill run through him as he comes face to face with his famous enemy. Acting all righteous and superior, Lord Ima greets Nana. His eyes quickly land on Shizu, and Nana introduces her to him. Watching from the side, Makoto notices the greed in Lord Ima's eyes. He's practically staring Shizu down. Lord Ima approaches Shizu and, pretending to be a gentleman, extends his hand for a handshake. Makoto, already irritated by the whole scene, quickly grabs his hand first. He says he's heard a lot about the powerful family's famous heir. Lord Ima asks, "And who are you?" Makoto is stunned by the act. He wonders how long Ima plans to pretend he doesn't know him. According to Makoto's investigation, Ima is a cultivator, and Makoto wants to test that theory. He uses his spiritual energy, trying to find any trace of cultivation within him. Cultivators can suppress their energy to hide their strength. Only when they fail to store it properly do waves of spiritual energy leak out. Makoto carefully spreads his spiritual energy into Ima's range, trying to confirm whether he's truly a cultivator. After a few moments of trying, the result comes back empty, meaning there's no sign of spiritual energy inside Ima at all. This shocks Makoto. He starts thinking maybe Ima isn't a cultivator after all. But in the process, he loses control and grips Ima's hand far too tightly. Ima yanks his hand back in pain. Still keeping up the act, Ima quickly greets Makoto again, then ignores him like sour milk and turns towards Setsu. Makoto remains confused. Why didn't he feel any energy from this guy? Even in that brief meeting, there was no hint. Soon, everyone sits down to enjoy dinner. After the meal, the butler announces that everyone should gather in the hall for a dance party. A little while later, the dance begins. But Makoto can't focus on anyone. He's still thinking about Hashimoto and whether he lied about Ima being a cultivator. Meanwhile, Shizu is searching for Makoto in the hall. After rejecting countless dance invitations, one man mutters that the noble sugar family's daughter would never dance with an ordinary guy. He adds that Shizu is extremely proud, and even powerful families struggle to earn her attention. While he's still babbling, his friend points toward Shizu. In reality, she's practically begging Makoto to pay attention to her. When Shizu invites Makoto to dance, everyone is shocked. Even Setsu. Far away, Ima is walking toward his car. Before getting in, he warns the guards that no one should come near the vehicle. Strange sounds start coming from inside the car. The guards whisper among themselves, wondering why he's always alone inside with only one bodyguard. Another guard says all of Ima's bodyguards eventually start acting strangely, to the point where they don't even recognize their own families. They reveal that Lord Ima changes bodyguards every few days, like tissue paper, and every old bodyguard ends up behaving like a completely different person. Rumor has it one even disappeared entirely. Inside the car, the bodyguard suddenly slaps Ima. He curses him out, asking why he tried to hold another woman's hand in front of Setsu. Ima, trembling with fear, apologizes repeatedly. Then suddenly, spiritual energy begins flowing out from the ring on the bodyguard's finger. His face twists unnaturally, and he transforms into the real Lord Ima. He says he only kept that fake double around because he was temporarily useful. Then he threatens that if he makes a mistake like today again, he'll erase him completely. A few moments later, Lord Ima steps out of the car and tells 2 guards to follow him back into the hall. One guard looks suspiciously at the car, wondering what happened to the other man inside. Just like always, a bodyguard has mysteriously vanished. Inside the car, the fake Ima is tied up and gagged. He struggles to break free, but the ropes are too tight. Soon, he starts crying, realizing he can't escape his fate. Back in the hall, the real Ima walks in as if nothing happened. Like there wasn't some alien-level chaos in the car just minutes ago. He happily calls out to Setsu. But Setsu is burning with jealousy, watching her ex-boyfriend dance with his new girlfriend. The entire hall is focused on Makoto and Shizu. Ima follows Setsu's gaze to see what's holding her attention. Whispers spread through the hall as people guess Makoto's identity. Everyone wonders, how did someone manage to win over the famous queen, Shizu? Makoto and Shizu seem lost in their own world. The music reaches its peak and lifts them both into pure happiness. Watching this romantic moment, Shizu praises Makoto, saying he's an incredible dancer. Makoto becomes completely fearless. She compliments how perfectly he matches the party's mood. Shizu explains that this is the best way to gain the Hashishu family's attention for their youth pill plan. Makoto is glad his dancing is drawing attention, because the original owner of his body learned dancing before being kicked out of the house. With that skill, combined with the balance cultivation gives him, Makoto becomes a beast on the dance floor. Nana is deeply impressed. She asks Setsu if she knew Makoto could dance. Setsu, always bitter, mocks him, saying that even as a dancer, he's still useless. Nana teases her, saying she caught how intensely Setsu was watching them dance. Ima joins the conversation, and Nana asks him directly, does he really not know Makoto? Ima assures her they met for the first time today, but Nana finds that suspicious. How could the heir of a powerful family not know someone so well-known? Ima makes up a small excuse to distract her, but Nana completely ignores it. Instead, she starts thinking about Makoto's pill refinement talent. From her tone, it seems like she wants to take Makoto to the next level. Ima feels threatened and glares at him. In his mind, he curses Nana. He only tolerates her because of Setsu. Then his eyes lock onto Makoto, and he curses him silently too. Just then, the 2 gossiping men finally figure out Makoto's identity. Ignoring the fact that Setsu can hear everything, they start talking about a love triangle between Setsu, Ima, and Makoto. The silver-haired guy mocks Makoto, saying he gave up the easiest path to fame. The blonde one says the only way trash like Yamori can gain recognition is by acting like a loyal fool behind Setsu. They assume Makoto only came to the party to get close to Setsu. Setsu, fed up with their nonsense, stands up from the table. Nana asks her to stay longer, but Setsu says she needs rest. Instead of leaving quietly, she suddenly stops and confronts Makoto. Makoto, who was minding his own business, becomes completely confused. Setsu yells at him like an angry ant, threatening him to abandon his filthy thoughts of rebuilding the Yamori family through her. Makoto becomes even more confused, staring at her like she escaped from an asylum. She turns to leave, telling him to focus on his life with the money from pill refinement, and stop trying to climb higher by using women. Makoto calmly asks her, which one of them actually needs that advice? Setsu is even more shocked when he brings up her spiritual energy. He had already noticed it leaking because she couldn't control it properly. Makoto says she probably stole spiritual energy forcibly to increase her cultivation faster. He warns her that such uncontrolled methods only damage the body in the long run. Looking at her closely, Makoto bluntly says her body has already reached its limit. Setsu looks down, wondering how an ordinary man could possibly judge her condition so accurately. Makoto then tells her he can fix her problem, but Setsu doesn't believe him. Makoto doesn't care, because if she refuses, the loss will be hers. When he warns her that her time is running out, Setsu shrinks back in fear. Makoto steps closer and offers her a deal, if she can give Ima something in return. From a distance, Ima watches them both with burning anger. After the party ends, Shizu and Makoto run into Nana again. Nana shows interest in the Jian pill and invites them to speak privately. The 3 walk together into the garden, and Makoto asks her what her real reason is. Nana laughs and tells him to call her auntie. Makoto refuses, saying he's no longer part of the Yamori family. Hearing that, Nana says he and Setsu are the same. Nana explains that Setsu also lost her parents and became a puppet of the Amatani family. Her uncle is the one pulling the strings, even deciding her marriage. Luckily, a major martial arts family noticed her. With their support, Setsu got the chance to become a great cultivator. Nana adds that until Setsu rises above the level of a commoner, she will remain nothing but a puppet. All this cultivation talk completely confuses Shizu, but Makoto understands. Rising above commoner status means reaching the third stage of cultivation. In the cultivation world, the gap between the second and third stage is massive. That's why Setsu must have used dangerous methods to grow faster. Makoto wonders why Nana is telling him all this. Nana sadly says she's been trying to fix Setsu's condition, but no medicine has worked. She says Makoto's Jian pills gave her new hope. Shizu can't believe that the president of the Special Medicine Association trusts Makoto more than real doctors. Makoto quietly thinks about Nana's words and notices how weak the cultivation techniques in this world are compared to the Rue continent. Bringing him back, Nana says she's also interested in the Jian pill. Shizu gets extremely excited because with the Hashishu family's support, their profits will skyrocket. Nana jokes, saying Shizu only loves money. After teasing them, she requests that they help Setsu. She tells Makoto that after the engagement broke, Setsu tried to rebel. Makoto is stunned by that news. Just then, Ima arrives to greet Nana before leaving. He extends his hand toward Makoto for a handshake, saying he hopes they meet again. Makoto shakes his hand, and the moment their hands meet, Makoto feels spiritual energy coming from Ima. Makoto finds it strange because during their first meeting, he felt nothing at all. After the handshake, Ima walks toward his car. A guard tells him Setsu left a gift for him. Ima smiles happily and quickly opens the box, only to find an origami butterfly inside. Confused, he throws it toward the fake Ima and warns him not to open things without permission. Remembering his meeting with Makoto, Ima still considers him weak trash. Then he spins the spirit liquid ring again and declares war on Nana and Makoto. Energy flashes from the ring, giving him Makoto's exact appearance. He smiles wickedly and says he'll use Setsu to destroy them both. The fake Ima trembles in fear, and none of them realize the origami is glowing. On top of a tall building, Makoto holds a glowing copy of the origami butterfly. He smiles and promises that he'll meet Ima again very soon. It turns out, the butterfly origami is actually a tracking talisman. Makoto is using it to track Ima's location. The talisman stops outside a building, meaning the target has been found. It confirms that this building belongs to the Ima family. Makoto immediately jumps down to execute his plan. Elsewhere, in a herbal garden, Nana secretly observes several spiritual plants. She focuses on two that are almost ready for harvest. She plans to sell them at the cultivators tournament in 3 months. Suddenly, she senses something strange nearby. A monk appears behind her and says Nana was once a genius of the 100 Herbs sect. Unfortunately, old injuries destroyed her cultivation. He praises her for still being able to sense spiritual energy. From his words, Nana realizes he's a cultivator. She has sensed more than one presence, meaning if there are multiple opponents, escaping will be difficult. Sensing her intentions, the second monk asks why she's thinking of running. He warns her that if she resists, they won't let her leave unharmed. Trying to speak calmly and understand their purpose, Nana slowly walks toward a large tree. One monk tells her to come with them without resisting. The other adds that breaking her arms and legs would be easier. When Nana reaches the tree, she activates a purple herb growing at its roots. Called the overload flower, poisonous gas erupts from the plant and spreads through the area. The monk struggled to breathe, but Nana had already placed green heart grass in her mouth, which neutralizes poison. This toxin is powerful enough to knock out even an elephant. So Nana plans to escape while the bald men are distracted. Just as she's about to run, a terrifying shadow enters. Nana senses shadow arts and immediately realizes this person is from the Hidden Shadow sect. The shadow reaches out and stops her. As the figure approaches, it becomes clear this is the same sect that destroyed the 100 Herbs sect. Nana trembles and demands to know who he is. She says this day shouldn't have come yet, and there's no reason for the Shadow sect to reveal itself now. She turns and freezes in fear. Makoto is standing in front of her, but it's not Makoto. It's Ima disguised as him. Back at the Ima family building, Makoto hides in the darkness, waiting for the guards' shift change. The guards joke about food, laughing that Ima must be enjoying some expensive meal inside. As soon as they leave, Makoto uses Cloud Shadow's step and slips in. He activates the tracking talisman to confirm he has reached Ima's room. Inside, the fake Ima is eating cold ramen while watching old recordings. He wonders how his life became so pathetic. Just because he looks like Ima, he's treated like a worthless servant. Thinking about the humiliation from the real Ima makes it even worse. Unable to stop himself, he opens the gift box, and the talisman suddenly activates. His heart nearly stops. He senses someone behind him and turns, only to see Makoto standing there. He collapses in fear. Makoto recognizes him as the first version he met at the party. He asks, "Do you remember me?" The fake nods frantically, trying to use Aima's name. Makoto stops him immediately and demands, "Where's the real Aima?" A few days later, near Makoto's usual road, a group of Aima's goons waits for their big moment. On the phone, they assure Aima that they'll break Makoto's arms and legs and deliver him like a package. Right on time, one of them spots Makoto approaching. Makoto is lost in thought. He's still thinking about his discovery, that spiritual vessels exist in this world. It makes him suspect that a fourth-level cultivator might be supporting this world's people. A spiritual vessel is a special object infused with spiritual energy during creation, granting it unique power. The stronger the spiritual energy used, the higher the quality. But only fourth-stage cultivators can create such weapons. Makoto believed spiritual weapons were impossible here, because spiritual energy is too weak. But now, he has reason to believe the Aima family may have their own private spiritual spring. Makoto decides to settle his conflict with Aima before leaving for Rada, so he can find that spiritual spring. Then he looks up and notices a group waiting for him. They casually tell him someone paid big money to capture him. Makoto doesn't care. He glares at them coldly. The leader instantly feels uneasy. Shaking off his fear, the boss orders his men to attack. They rush at Makoto like hungry chickens pecking at grain. The boss thinks he brought experienced fighters, but within seconds his confidence disappears. Makoto moves effortlessly, breaking faces, twisting noses, and resetting bones for free. In an instant, the entire group collapses. The boss can only stare in shock. Makoto slowly turns toward him and asks, "Who sent them?" The next morning, Setsu and her team work non-stop at Nana's house, trying to figure out what happened. A man shows her footage where two monks suddenly appear, but the video cuts off abruptly. The guard concludes Nana must have been kidnapped. Then he shows another clip with a third attacker, and Setsu freezes when she sees Makoto's face. Enraged, Setsu immediately storms toward Makoto's address. Outside the apartment, a tied-up beaten man stops her and calmly asks if she has an appointment. She ignores him and demands to see Makoto. The injured man silently leads her inside. As Setsu walks, she notices rough-looking men taking care of Tiger. On the rooftop, Makoto is relaxing, while yesterday's capture boss is serving him. All the tied-up men seem to be Aima's goons, the ones who failed to attack him. Moments later, Setsu bursts in angrily, yelling at Makoto to release Nana. Makoto looks at her in confusion. He has no idea what she's talking about. Setsu accuses him again, saying he kidnapped her aunt. When he still looks shocked, Setsu pulls out a tablet and shows him the footage. Makoto immediately recognizes that the person in the video is using a spiritual vessel to change into his appearance. He quickly understands. Aima did all this to create a rift between him and Setsu. As Setsu begins releasing spiritual energy, ready to fight, Makoto calmly tells her he was never at Nana's house at 1 a.m. To prove it, he says she can ask Aima's goons. Hearing that, Setsu finally feels relieved. The goons' boss shows her their chat history with Aima, explaining they were paid to capture Makoto. Finally convinced, Setsu asks what they'll do about the footage. Makoto responds by showing a video he recorded earlier of the fake Aima. He did it to keep proof of Aima's schemes. Setsu watches as Yasuhiro confesses that he was impersonating Lord Aima. He explains that he's normally just a guard, but at the party, he went as Aima's double. Yasuhiro reveals that Lord Aima uses a ring that can change anyone's appearance. Setsu is completely shocked. Makoto then explains the full concept of spiritual vessels. He tells her Aima's plan was for Setsu to kill him, believing he kidnapped Nana. Hearing this, Setsu storms off in rage to confront Aima. But Makoto stops her, warning that things could get worse. He says if she acts too quickly, Nana's life could be in danger. Setsu asks how he can expect her to just let this go. She's not going to stay quiet.